Alright guys, so for our third and final video for week 4, we're going to go through the second assignment in the tkinter section, which is the slot machine. Alright, so maybe you've seen slot machines before, maybe not in a casino, but maybe on TV, and a lot of the work for this code goes just in the animation or the attempted animation for these three different pictures here. Now this animation doesn't work well on my Mac, so I actually had to run this on my Windows emulator just so that you guys can see what this is going to look like when it's all done. So I'm going to insert that video right here in the middle, and then you'll see a demonstration of it so you can see what it is we're shooting for. Alright, so here is that video. So there you go. When I go to run this video in Mac, or sorry, this program in Mac, it's not going to do that same kind of animation. So, but I hope that you guys, if you're running it on Windows, that you're going to get it to work the way I got it to work on my Windows machine. Now, with this program, guys, I do offer you a lot of help. All right, so if I go to the slot machine, okay, the first help I give you is at the bottom of the program. So, without going over this again, because we did this in the last video, I want you to start a new tkinter program. Just copy and paste the code, save it as slot machine in your unit 4, or sorry, your week 4 folder. Make sure that by now you've also downloaded the images that are in week 4, the slot machine images, and put them in that folder also, just like I outlined in the other video. And once you've done all that, you're ready to start this. So this code goes at the bottom of your code file, okay, your SLOTMACHINE.PY file. Okay, so I've put this all in, and I'll show you a screenshot of all of this beside the image itself, so you can see how the two things kind of relate to each other. So if I go over to here, all right, so this is the same code that's there, but I did it on my Mac, so it looks a little bit differently. But I find it helpful to sort of show you the code along with what it's going to produce. All right, so at this point, if you're going to have a command called spin, all right, then make sure you have a def called spin ahead of time. Right, this is the one thing, I guess, before you come down here, is that you put in this def, right, so that at least it's there for later. And we did this in the last program as well to start us off. So, so def spin, right, and then you're just going to put pass down here, right, just so that there is a def in place for the button when it goes to do its spinning. All right. But anyway, this button, of course, is this button right here. All right, and then you can see the button is in row 2, column 1, with a column span of 3. All right, so it takes up this entire column. Remember, this is row 2, this is row 1, and this is row 3, and this is column 1 going down, column 2, and column 3. All right, so it's 3 by 3. All right, so there's the spin button. And then we have two labels. LBL status is this button down here. Let me see if I can change the color on this using a different program this time. Okay, so LBL status, click the button to play, height of 2. So that gives it a bit more space. So that's this button right here, great, and so that's in, actually I lied. This is row 3 here, and this is row 4. Whoops, my bad. Fix that up a bit. So this is row 3, and this is row 4. All right, so this is in row 3, column 1, and it's a span of 3 columns, right? So you can see that here. LBL status, row 3, column 1, column span of 3. All right, and then LBL money, which is money equals 100, is this down here. Now I went out of my way to jazz it up a little bit. Okay, see, I gave it a font, I gave it the background black, foreground white, width of 20, so that makes it look nice and big like that. All right, so where do we locate that? That's in 4.1 with a column span of 3. Row 4, column 1, column span 3. All right, so that's that. Then the last thing we have to do is the images. So the images are back up in row 1, so they're in 1.1, 1.2, and 1.3. So you can see that here. Row 1, column 1, row 1, 1, column 2, column 3. So these are the 3 images. Now remember how images work, guys? It's 2 steps. The first thing we have to do is create this thing called a photo image. So I've got 3 of those. They're all pointing to pick1.gif, which is the pair. Okay, and then I load these three images, 1, 2, and 3, into LBL slot 1, 2, and 3, right? So instead of a label with text, these are labels with images, right? So think of it as a picture frame that holds a picture, all right? And then we put those in rows 1, 2, and 3, and they basically, do the images. They display them 3 in a row. Okay, so pause this video if you need to. Actually, I'm going to close this and I'm going to open it up again. So I'm not going to save it. So if I open up recent, okay, this is it again here. So maybe if you need to, like this is it with all the markings on it. Maybe pause this for a minute and make sure you get this in at the bottom of your file. All right, so next we're going to look at the code that goes into the spin. All right, now there's quite a lot of code there, but a lot of it's repetitive because what we're doing basically is we're using 3 different for loops to spin all 3 images, and then this one stops, and then we're spinning these 2, and then this one stops, and then we're spinning this one, and then this one finally stops, and then we check to see if we've won. All right, so let me show you what that code looks like as well. If I just open up the code here, there we go. Okay, so here's all the code, including the button, right? Up at the top, there's a few things we have to add as well. Okay, so we do need to add this import for time. Now again, this is all, like if I go here to the second slide, slide 25, all this code is here as well. Okay, so I've got the exact same code in my actual file as is here on the slideshow. So you can just as easily get all of this code here. Okay, just like the thing I showed you before, this is all the same code that was in my code as well. So whether you get it from here or you get it from the code or from the video, it's all good. So let me show you the code I've written for this though. So at the very top, I think we've got the random imported already, but we need to have this variable called money that starts at 100, and it's going to go down or up depending on how our slots work out. Okay, we also need this time for a bit of a time delay. Okay, as the images change in each little slot window, we want it to give it a little tiny pause so we can see that image just for a moment, and then the next image comes up. So it kind of gives the appearance of the different slots moving as you saw in that other sample video. Okay, so let me go back to my live code here where you can see all of that one more time. Okay, so here again is the time is t and then the money is 100. Okay, the setup, this is all, part of our template, and there's my spin def. Okay, so by the time you get to here, this probably says pass. Now you can get rid of that and you can start putting this in. Okay, so this is all the code to get the thing to work. Now, rather than just dumping it all on you at once, I think what I'll do maybe is kind of explain it all to you. That's probably a good idea. All right, so maybe I'll take a screenshot of this and I'll open this up in Paint, and we'll just kind of go through it one line at a time. Command-Shift-4, there we go. So the spin def. Now there's a little bit more to it than this, but that's part of it anyway. So let me just open this up really quick. It's probably this one that I just got here. No, there it is. Open. Okay, so this is the code, or here's a picture of the code here. All right, let me minimize this one so we don't see that one either. There we go. All right, so in the spin def, the first thing we do, guys, is you may have noticed in the other part of the video, as soon as I hit the spin button, we're in the process of playing a game. So we don't want to hit spin again, and we don't want the status to be shown while the slots are moving. So there's a handy little way that you can just take these out of your screen temporarily. So this takes them off the grid so that they disappear. Just while the thing's going on. Okay. Now we have that variable called money that's up at the top. And this has come up as an issue before, but the way we can get spin to know that it's dealing with the money variable that's not inside here, we say global money. That means look at the money variable that was declared, somewhere up here. Okay, so now we can say money minus equals 10, right? Because we charge them $10 every time they play. Okay, and then right away, while the spinning's happening, we can update the money label and tell them, hey, you've just paid $10 to play. So that just refreshes the money. Now it may refresh again at the end if we've won some money, but in the meantime, while the spinning's going on, we want to show that we've spent $10. All right, so now you're going to notice there's 3 different for loops. Okay, and the first one goes for 30, The other two I just made for 20 just to make them go a little bit faster. Okay, but they basically all do the same thing. Okay, in the first for loop, we're picking 3 random numbers from 1 to 7 because I have 7 images. Pick 1 to pick 7. Okay, so once I pick a random number, I can inject it right into the name of the file, right? So if S1 picks the number, say 2, then this is going to be pick2.gif, right? So it literally gets plugged in to show one of the pictures. All right, so when we change the file of the images, then the label updates the image in the window. All right, so this is going to do that for all 3 images. Now, every time we do this, we want it to pause just a little bit so that we can see those 3 new images. Right, so that's what this sleep does. So sleep for 0.03 seconds, so it's a very tiny, tiny pause. And then we need to put this in. This is only time in the course you see this line of code. That basically calls the screen to refresh. Okay, so otherwise it won't actually show the new images that are in the labels unless we force a refresh. So that's what that does. All right, so this whole thing's going to happen 30 times for all 3 slots. Then what you can do, guys, is you can copy and paste this, okay? And then this copy here does everything that this copy does, except it doesn't have the S1 anymore. So it's just spinning the 2 and the 3, and the S1 kind of stays where it is now. It's been picked. So then we update just the 2 and 3 images, and we sleep and update. And then the third time around, we're just updating the final image, the very last slot. So this one doesn't get done in the third round, only this one does. All right, so all this code put together causes the 3 slots to spin. All right, so you can get this from the slideshow, or you can sort of rewind the video and sort of get it from here before I started marking it up. All right, but we're not quite done yet. So once we're done spinning, we come out of that third for loop. Now we got to see if we have won anything. Now the magic, or the key rather, to knowing whether we've won is in these 3 variables, S1, 2, and 3. If all 3 of these numbers are the same number, then we're looking at 3 of some kind on the slideshow. Okay, sorry, on the slot machine. All right, or if 2 of them are the same, then we also have a pair. Okay, so I've left that part for you to do, but let me give you a little bit of help on it. All right, so I'll show you just right here. Okay, so this comes right after the 3 spinning. Okay, so actually let me show you live on my code here where that's happening. Slot machine. Okay, so there's my first for loop, there's my second for loop, there's my third, and then right here where it says check to see if winner, right here. All right, and then these last bits of code, which are also included in the slideshow, these put the spin button and the status button back up on the thing again, on the slideshow. All right, now status will update in the if statement depending on whether you've won or not. Okay, and then we refresh the money in case we've won some money. So this happens at the very end, and you can see that here as well. Let me just throw this up here again. Okay, so there's the money coming back up. All right, so you know what? I might as well just help you a little bit more with this. So in order to say the status 3 of a kind, you won $100, we add 100 to money. Okay, what we would say in our actual code, and I'll just bring it back here and you can see it. Okay, so we would look at the values of S1, 2, and 3. So we would say it like this, guys. If S1 equals S2 and S1 equals S3, okay, then we've won 3 of a kind. Okay, so I'll just put that here, 3 of a kind. Okay, and you're going to do what it says to do here. Okay, so you can see what happens is we upstate our status to say 3 of a kind, and we add 100 to money. All right. To say we've won 2 of a kind, okay, let me go back to my code one more time, and you can see that. So that would be something like this: if S1 equals S2 or S1 equals S3. All right, but there's also a third way we could win, which is S2 equals S3, right? So what if I have a pear and then 2 strawberries, right? So that would be S2 equals S3. So there's 3 ways you can win on 2 of a kind. So that would be for 2 of a kind. 2 of a kind. Okay, so you're going to add 10 to your money, and you're going to update the status label, LBL status, to say you got 2 of a kind. You won $20 or whatever it is for 2 of a kind. All right, and then anything else, then you're not going to win any money, but you're just going to change LBL status, right? So, and you guys know for all of these, LBL status, right, to change what it says, you're just going to change the text property like that, right, and you're going to set it to something new. Okay, now this is again pointed out here in the slideshow, right? Sorry I'm jumping around a bit, but so actually it's done a little differently. Okay, but this also works. You can use the config, or you can just go text directly. Okay, so instead of LBL status.config, all right, so I might as well jump down the rabbit hole a little bit further here. So again, 3 of a kind. So you're going to say like money plus equals 100, right? And you're going to say LBL status. You could use the .config if you want to. The way I prefer to do it though, and both of these do the exact same thing, guys. I just didn't realize that the other way was on the slideshow till just this second. Equals, 3 of a kind. Exclamation marks. That's exciting, right? You won $100. Yay! Okay, so actually that should say 3 of a kind, not hashtag of a kind. Okay, so that's the complete for the if. So for the elif, you're going to do this. Actually, that should be 100. For elif, you're going to win, I think it's 20 bucks, right? Yeah, 20 bucks. So you're going to add 20 to money and then say 2 of a kind, okay? Else, you're going to say no match. You lost $10, basically. Okay, and then now this part here, guys, at the very bottom of the spin, so after we've done all 3 spins, we check to see if there's a winner. This part I don't think is on the slideshow, but you need to do this as well. So what this does is basically puts back the button and status label. Right, so I'm just putting that little comment in there to explain that to you. Okay, so that's going to basically put everything back on the grid. You notice in the sample slot machine video, once everything stops spinning, then the spin button comes back and the status label comes back. Okay, so you need this code here to bring those 2 things back, right? And then we're updating our money again here, just because we may have changed our money up here if we've won. All right, then we want to reprint money. But even if we haven't won, money hasn't changed, but we can just reprint it anyway just to be safe. All right, so that gives us an update on how much money we have. All right, the last thing in the slideshow that it shows, and I don't have that on my code, but you can see it here. If something else happens, then we're going to change the status to say you're out of money, game over, and you're going to just remove the button altogether. So this would be if money is less than 0. Okay, so I won't put that into my code. You can put it in if you want to. You can, instead of using the .config text equals, you can just say text equals like we did in the other part in my actual code. I also noticed here this says grid remove. It should say grid remove. Okay, but we have that already in our code up earlier, right? When we first start spinning, we remove the spin button. But this is just a way to permanently remove it so that you can't play anymore. To me, that's an easy way to just stop the game, is just take away the spin button and they can't play anymore because they're out of money, right? But we use that grid remove in our code earlier on in the spinning, right at the very top, right? As soon as we start spinning, the first thing we do is remove the spin button, okay? We bring it back down here, right? Just like that. We could actually, what we could do, guys, is we could just say, okay, only bring this back if we have money. Okay, so we could say something like if money greater than 0, then bring it back. Okay, bring this back no matter what. Okay, and then here we could have another if. We could say like if money less than or equal to 0, right? And then I'm just going to like copy this, and rather than saying that, we're going to say you are out of money, game over, right? So we can say like you are out of money, game over, right? And then this can become our else, or else say you have this much money left. All right, so that kind of solves that problem now too, right? So only if we have money left do we put the button back on the grid, right? And no matter what, we put the status back on the grid because we're going to want to say something to the person, right? And if we don't have any money left over, we say you're out of money, else we tell them how much money they still have. All right, so yeah, that should do it. That should be enough help for you to finish this one off, guys. Good luck, and again, if you have any questions, you know where to find me, either through chat or through the D2L email. All right, and we'll see you next time.